Safe in your presence, a gentle stay. I come from a land with a pretty school, picking the gases and hunting and fence to find taking the fights of a turn on your heart for the sea. The great big fellas from Tantarigi. This is the place where happy and gay, singing and dancing and taking away. Rubbing some frogs and whiskey and play with our rocket and bike around Tantarigi. Christian or Turk, I think we'll look on Robert and Mr. Burke and Merzel. Oh, you could speak up like down with Stipple and all about left to the one. And whereas a singer could sing a tongue, the who is man, he's charm if he kept from your door. Well, make them all yet twice enough, you'll see the red big fellas from Tantarigi. It's the place where happy and gay, singing and dancing and tearing away. Rubbing some frolics and frisky and play with our rollick and place around Tantarigi. No doubt you have heard the Killarney, I'm sure, and sweet the nation for the drop of the pure. Don't suppress for the strawberry bats and lovely brookford for the crack in the pants. Have you ever seen an Irishman dance about the gooey faces and partner and turns of his bro? Chicks with the buckle and bends at the knee, this wonderful fellas and Tantarigi. Here's the place where happy and gay, singing and dancing and taking away. Rocks and frolics and frisky and free, where the rollicking boys run Tantarigi. You know, many years ago, I came over to the United States with my family, my brothers and sister. We won a competition in Dublin, and the prize was to come to America. And it is, for us, like an interplanetary experience. It is fantastic. We grew up in a house with no electricity or no running water. Well, the only running water there was running to the well with a bucket for it. Whereas my mother used to say, take two, it'll balance you. But amongst the places that we played back in the early 1970s was a place called the Harpen Bard. I don't know whether anyone ever remembers that place now. There was one in Norwood and one in Danvers. Does anyone remember? Very good. Sorry?
Is the one in Danvers a pizza place now?
Is it?
I was told that because they're going to have a reunion there, and they've given it to the Irish musicians to have a reunion there. It's coming up.
Wow. That's a good one. Well, one of the people who used to play there was a man called Tommy Macon.
Oh, yeah.
Who played with the Clancy Brothers, of course, before that. And Tommy was with a friend of ours. He came from County Armagh, which is just the next county to us. His mother was a great singer. Her name was Sarah Macon. She had 1,000 songs. And whenever Tommy died, the television at home asked me to write a song about him. And I was delighted to get an opportunity to do that because I liked him very much. And he would always call with us at home whenever he came back home from America. But I decided it wouldn't be a sad song. It'll be a song of celebration because his whole life was a celebration in many ways. In fact, he kept on singing up until the very end. I remember asking him one time, he said, Tommy, will you ever retire? He says, I retire every night and I get up every morning. And he's telling me that the first time that he came back from America, been over here with the Clancy Brothers, years before that, came back home to Katy, and he went to a pub and there was some money jingling in his pockets, and the local men didn't have too much money in their pockets. In fact, there's nobody with any money in their pockets in those days. And one of them said to Tommy, they knew he'd been to America. One of them said, how much would it take to go to America? Tommy says, maybe £90 to buy a ticket. For God's sake, says the man, sure, if I had £90, I'd have no need to go to America. But anyway, I wrote the song with Tommy, and called the Rambling Irish Rover. He was a rambling Irish rover, the party Katy town. A rambling Irish rover sang the whole world round. When they'd hear the banjo play, they'd make them sing along. Make them sing like make them sang, and the song sings on. I always will remember when first I heard him sing. Well, the Clancy boys around him, they could make the rafters ring. They took the songs of yesterday and tuned them for the day. Circled down together and we sang the night away. He was a rambling Irish rover, the bard of Katy town. A rambling Irish rover sang the whole world round. When they'd hear that banjo play, it'd make them sing along. Make them sing like make them sang, and the song sings on. Sing of Tommy Macon from a noble Irish band. His mother's name was Sarah, and she sang 1,000 songs. He took them on his journey and he made 1,000 more. So people coming after, they might know the way we went. He was a rambling Irish rover, the bard of Katy town. A rambling Irish rover sang the whole world round. When they'd hear the banjo play, they'd make them sing along. Make them sing like make them sang, and the song sings on. He sang of joy and sorrow, of justice and of peace, and even in the final days his music never ceased. The concert may be over, but no one leaves the hall, for the people keep on singing and the song sings on. He was a rambling Irish rover, the bard of Katy town. A rambling Irish rover sang the whole world round. When they'd hear the banjo play, it'd make them sing along. Make them sing like make them sang, and the song sings on. Are singing freedom, they sing it everywhere. They sing it on the mountainside and in the city square. They sing of a new day dawning, our people shall be free. Come and join the song of freedom, let it ring from the sea, and my four green fields will bloom once again. He was a rambling Irish rover. Thank you very much. I remember walking into a pub one night, and I met this man, and he says to me, "Are you the man I met in Honolulu?" I says, "I've never been to Honolulu in my life." He said, "I haven't been there either. It must have been two other men." I like that man, because he was scraping at the surface of something. I wasn't too sure what he was scraping at, but he was scraping at something. He was looking at words and how you can turn words around to make yourself believe almost anything. Like, I remember one night we went to bed very early one morning, and we started to eat cheese. "Why not?" says you. And we started with some fairly exotic cheeses like cheddar, moved on to camembert and gruyere, Pont l'Evêque. But eventually we came across this cheese from Switzerland. You know this cheese with the holes in it? You know that cheese? What do they call it? Swiss cheese. I think Emmental, some other people call it that. But interesting stuff, because after a while I was eating, we discovered that the more cheese we had, the more holes we had. Which was interesting in its own simple little way. But then we discovered that the more holes we had, the less cheese we had. Bringing us to the rather frustrating conclusion that the more cheese we had, the less cheese we had. And again, it got me thinking about logic, how we can use it, and how politicians sometimes use it. I remember coming home from Belfast one night, and I was overheating slightly, so I decided to go into a pub for a drink. But I didn't know the pub very well, and in Belfast it's a good thing to know the pub well. But usually what you do is, you go to the restroom, as you would say over here. You go to the restroom and you read the graffiti, because it gives you a good idea of the clientele they're in, and you know where you stand, so to speak. So I took a look around and I could see nothing written on the walls. Say, what sort of a place is this? Is this some sort of an undercover joint, or what's going on here? Because usually in Belfast you get some fairly revealing things written in walls, things like Paisley for Pope, or help the police, beat yourself up. I remember seeing written, be alert, Ulster needs alerts. And someone had written underneath that, no, be aloof, we have enough alerts, which is probably true when you think about it. And there's all the less politically overt things like, Little Bo Peep did it for the insurance. Or, when God made man, she was only practicing, like that. But eventually, I did come across a piece of graffiti, and it's fairly subtle. It was written in white on a white background, and it said, Humpty Dumpty was pushed. I liked that very much, because there's so many things we learned when we were going to school, which turned out not to be true at all. We used to believe Humpty Dumpty fell off a wall. But so many other things we used to believe. We used to believe that Protestants wouldn't go to heaven. Protestants believed that Catholics wouldn't go to heaven either, like. So it'd be a very peaceful place for the Jews. And the Muslims, hopefully. So, I come up with a conclusion that Humpty Dumpty probably was pushed. And they wrote a song about it. Humpty Dumpty was pushed, head over heels all over the wall. Humpty Dumpty was pushed, nobody knew it at all. All the king's horses and all the king's men gathered around and kicked him again. Then they sent for the press and a couple of friends, and knelt on the ground and they chanted Amen. Humpty Dumpty was pushed, head over heels all over the wall. Humpty Dumpty was pushed, nobody knew it at all. The following morning the headlines are tall, really it was inevitable. Mr. Dumpty was drunk and he fell from the wall, and perhaps a bit cracked and shell-shocked and all. Humpty Dumpty was pushed, head over heels all over the wall. Humpty Dumpty was pushed, nobody knew it at all. They wrote in the papers, they wrote in the news, they wrote it in all of the history books. They wrote it in blood and the name would stick, and I swallowed it all and I nearly got sick. They took me to hospital, put me in bed, took off my clothes and examined my head. We'll poison your poison with needles, they said, but my system rejected the things I was fed. Humpty Dumpty was pushed, and our heels all over the wall. Humpty Dumpty was pushed, nobody knew it at all. They took me from there and they called me insane. The walls were padded, the door it was chained. Then they took me from there and they put me in jail. For a lifetime of life I suffered in shame. I cried every night and I slept every day, and I waited for someone to take me away. Nothing was right and nothing was wrong until I was forced to learn this new song. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men, you know the rest. Thanks. I think sometimes we have to reimagine tradition, have to revisit history, maybe rewrite songs. There's some songs that we all grew up with, some wonderful songs written by people like Bob Dylan. He's a great songwriter. The answer is blowing in the wind. And I felt that there was a time when we looked at war and we said, why? There's no answer to it. It just happens. There's all sorts of theories about survival of the fittest or whatever. And the answer is blowing in the wind. Then, through the social media, I read not too long ago that David Cameron was in Egypt giving a talk on democracy. And it was a trades mission he was on. And he had with him 7 arms dealers. And I thought, the answer is not blowing in the wind. It's very clear, most of the time. It's all well worked out. Wrote this song just a few weeks ago. The answer is not blowing in the wind, and the question whispers in my mind. Take another look around behind the headlines. The answer stares you in the eyes. The answer stares you in the eyes. And how many times must a cannonball fly before they be far of our band? Well, they'll fly just as long as there's fortunes to be made by the wheelers and the dealers of arms, and fellow profiteers who manufacture fear to ensure that their wars will survive. The answer is not blowing in the wind no more. The answer stares you in the eyes. The answer is not blowing in the wind, and the question whispers in my mind. Take another look around behind the headlines. The answer stares you in the eyes. The answer stares you in the eyes. And how many years can a mountain exist before it be swept to the sea? How many empires dissolve in the mist when the sea, there's nothing more to steal? Invading, persuading that God is on their side, though God knows it's far from their minds. The answer is not blown in the wind no more. answer stares you in the eyes. The answer is not blown in the wind, and the question whispers in my mind. Take another look around behind the headlines. The answer stares you in the eyes. The answer stares you in the eyes. And how many times has the truth been disguised in the guise of some patriotic lie? The media controlled for to do what they're told, inspected in body and mind. But the truth has escaped past the sentries at the gate, and new way for news we can find. And the answer is not blown in the wind no more. The answer stares you in the eyes. The answer is not blown in the wind, and the question whispers in my mind. Take another look around behind the headlines. The answer stares you in the eyes. The answer stares you in the eyes. The answer is not blown in the wind, and the question whispers in my mind. Take another look around behind the headlines. The answer stares you in the eyes. The answer